After discovering the letter from my grandfather, which I found in the box with the watch, I couldn't stop thinking about those words. Not every path should you follow. What did that mean? And what really happened when I traveled through time? I was sure something had changed, but what exactly? Before I could think more about it, the watch started vibrating again in my pocket. I could feel that something was happening. The night was drawing near, and I still had no idea what to do with all of this. I took the watch in my hand and looked at it for a moment. Sometimes I felt like that little metal casing held the power of history, a history I still didn't understand. And then I felt it again, the vibrations, but this time they were different. There was like a pulse, as if the watch was trying to tell me something. For a moment, I held it up to my eye, and then I was somewhere else. This wasn't the same street I'd been on last time. Around me were completely different buildings. I saw people dressed in another way. Times were changing, but I wasn't sure when exactly. I stopped for a moment, trying to figure out where I was. The air was filled with the smell of cigarettes and exhaust fumes. I could hear the sound of honking cars. After a few moments, I spotted the year on one of the billboards. 1973. My heart raced. Again, the same thing. I still didn't understand how this was happening. Just then, on a corner of the street, I saw something I'd never forget. Standing by a shop window, I saw a man. He was younger than my grandfather, but he had the same eyes. His face was calm, as if he was waiting for something. My heart skipped a beat. It was him. It was my grandfather, but not in the same form I knew him from the past. He was younger, full of energy, and his life seemed completely different from the one I had known. I began walking towards him, but something stopped me. I knew I had to be careful. What would happen if he found out who I was? Would it change the future? And what if I did nothing? What would that mean? I started to feel like I had no control over what was happening. Everything was becoming more tangled. The watch, which had been just an object, now seemed to be the key to my entire life. With every move, with every moment I held it, more things were changing. Suddenly, I heard a voice. My grandfather, the younger one, was talking to someone in a cafe. I didn't have the courage to get any closer. I felt it wasn't the right moment. My heart was still racing, and the watch in my pocket started vibrating even harder. At that moment, I realized I had to return. I needed to go back to my time, to the place where everything made sense. My heart wouldn't survive this tension if I kept jumping through time. I took the watch in my hand, closed my eyes, and focused on returning. The vibrations grew stronger, and then I vanished. When I opened my eyes, I was back in my room again. I felt relief, but also unease. What had just happened? How was it possible that I had returned? And what about my grandfather? I was back, but I wasn't sure if this was the end of the journey. What if the watch vibrated again? What if another trip through time was waiting ahead, one with even greater consequences? And then I felt it again, a faint pulse in my pocket. The watch was still with me.